Okay, well, welcome to the Velero community meeting for July 23rd, 2024. And let's go ahead and get started. So the general overall status, I've just kind of taken from the last week. As far as I know, there haven't been any changes. And Daniel, let me know if any of the dates have changed. The current plan for 1.14.1 is an August 26th release, a bit of a delay from the original plan. Looks like we have one current open issue relating to this. Shubham's got this. This still got a PR open on this, Shubham, or is this something
Yeah,
that's
there's a draft PR up, but wanted to discuss what
okay?
to do.
Got it.
Or
Yeah. So
if we could even push this to next release, it's fine.
okay. Yeah. Okay. And then for 1.15, feature freeze is the 28th of August. So anyway, we've got a few candidate issues. Looks like a number of these issues have already been added to the milestone. So we've got a little more time. But if there's any issue that someone thinks should be in 1.15 that's not on this list, now would be the time to get the issue tagged as 1.15 candidate.
Yeah, and I think tomorrow I'm gonna sync up with Yonghui and Wenkai about the 4 issue they own, but I saw that there's a issue Tiger that was assigned to Tiger, right? So do we
Yes.
want to handle that in 1.15?
Which issue is this?
The last one in the list. That
Oh,
one was assigned to Tiger, right?
oh yes, this is the one where we had this ongoing issue where we talked about this last week with the API servers down temporarily. We end up getting things stuck in progress, and we talked about this last week how we rather than requeuing, we wanted to just add some retry in there. Yeah, so Tiger, as far as
So
I know,
I'm putting that into 1.15 milestone.
Tiger, that works for you, right?
Yep, that works.
Okay. So on to the individual status. I've been working on the backup performance improvements. The design PR was finally approved and merged. Thanks everyone for the reviews. I have the first implementation PR out there. This is ready for review now. This is the first part of that work, the item block action plugin type. So this just defines the plugin type itself with all the appropriate areas in terms of the manager and everything else, kind of all the kind of infrastructure for supporting the plugin type. There's no actual plugins implementing that yet. I added a comment to the issue to kind of give an idea of my implementation plan. The expectation is to do 4 different PRs at this point. This is the first one. The next PR is going to be actually implementing the plugins. So that's going to be where the pod adds the PVC and the PVC adds the PV and kind of those kinds of things. After that will be the item block model and the backup workflow changes, and then finally a documentation PR to get this included in the new plugin type and how to use it and all that. Because we obviously need the documentation as part of this release, part of this feature. So that's the plan, and the first PR is out there. So please take a look. Meanwhile, I will probably this week start on that next PR. I will have it as a draft until the first one gets merged because it's going to build on top of that. Shubham?
Yeah, I've been working on Velero 1.14.1 issues, and I think, and other than that, reviewed some design PRs, and I think I got to review the exposure part of the microservice feature as well. That's it.
Okay, Tiger.
Yep, I'm continuing to work on my designs mentioned, the Velero download API and the retry to patch. That's it.
Great. Okay, and Daniel, you have a discussion topic here.
Yeah, that's the one I realized I want to talk about. Earlier we triaged the issues. Uh, we made some change in the Velero restore helper. A couple of years uh, ago, I mean, we removed the .velero folder, but we merged that PR without realizing that this may cause some issue when uh, the server was rebooted. I think he's talking about, yeah, for some reason, the redeploy the deployment which has the restore helper as an init container, but at that time the .velero folder is already gone, so the deployment was blocked at the init container phase, and the pod is never running. So you got the idea? I'm just curious because that change was introduced in Velero 1.9, so a few years ago. So I just want to double check with you guys that never happened in OADP users, right?
We have not seen it as far as I know. This sounds like this is one of those kinds of bugs where, you know, it takes a specific set of conditions to reproduce, so it tends to be an edge case. So, you know, you don't
Yeah.
notice it for a long time, and then some, like in this case, a user hits it all of a sudden, and you realize, hey, this is a problem. This has actually been broken for a while. But no, as far as I know, we have not had an OADP customer that's hit it.
Okay, do you maybe we can discuss later about whether we want to fix in the next patch release. So yeah, my initial feeling is that if that's a very common situation, the user should have seen it before. So I'm thinking whether we want to revert it or not. So I'm not going to discuss with other folks in Beijing and maybe in next community meeting. Or do you have an opinion now? Like, do we want to fix it or not? I
I
think
would
this
say I would
it
say
has
yeah,
a,
we probably do want to fix it. I mean, again, whether it's common or not, if we have a set of conditions that we can, you know, validate reproduces, and I think that's probably the next step is to see if we can reproduce this, you know, on your side or on our side. I think if we can identify it as a bug that for sure this always happens and this change made it.
yeah, but that will put us in a dilemma because the change was merged because some users said the existence of the .velero directory is problematic for their application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the answer may not be to revert it. The other answer may be to figure out a way to for the directory being gone to not hang things. And I you know, again, I don't know. In other words, maybe we don't want to revert the change. Maybe we want to make sure that this particular edge case can cope with the change. I mean, that's another possibility.
Yeah.
Is to figure out
Okay.
why it's hanging and figure out how to fix that without reverting the change.
Okay. I'll assign it to myself and follow up. But as of now, I think the only possible fix for this is remove that init container after the restore complete. But currently we don't have a mechanism to do that. So yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, there may not be an obvious fix to it, but I think we should at least see if we can find a fix. But yeah, yeah, like you said, reverting the change might be a problem because that just reproduces a bug for someone else. So again, it's
Right.
you know, it's a
Right.
bug trade-off here. We want to hopefully find a solution that solves both uses, but you know, if we can't, then we have the question of which use case is more important, you know, and then we'll have to make a call.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to check if any of your users seen this, but yeah.
Yeah, I have
It's
not. If anyone else at Red Hat has, you know, we'll get back to you. But as far as I know, this is not a situation we've run into.
Okay.
Anyone else have another topic to discuss? Okay, that may be it for the week then. So we'll have our meeting next week at the other time zone slot. Thanks everyone for joining, and see you next week.
Yeah. Bye.